Quaternions are bizarre but very useful mathematical objects. If you need to describe the orientation of a three-dimensional body in space, you really need to use quaternions. They are widely used for 3D graphics, robotics, and physical simulations. The only problem with quaternions is that it's hard to get started with them. In this video, I will give you the full set of knowledge required to use them or implement them in code from scratch. It might be tempting to use Euler angles instead, but I will try to convince you that quaternions are simpler and better in any aspect. Let's get started by looking at Euler angles. We start with an object that is not rotated and make a sequence of rotations. I picked the ZYZ scheme as an example. First, we rotate the object around the z-axis by alpha. Then, we use the object's local y-axis to rotate by beta. And finally, we use the local z-axis to rotate by gamma. So Euler angles are successive rotations around different axes. Looks simple? Not really. That may be not very intuitive, but we can obtain any possible orientation of the object with only one rotation defined by one axis and one angle. If we rotate around this vector, we can revert all three rotations in one step. And this is what quaternions do. But quaternions are not only the way to represent rotations. It's also a special mathematical entity that makes all rotation calculations very simple. Quaternion could be represented as a combination of scalar and three-dimensional vector. So basically, quaternion is four numbers, where r is scalar and xyz are components of the vector part. And to work with quaternions, we need to know how to do mathematical operations with them. I will give you a quick summary now and explain these operations in the last part of the video. Two quaternions could be added or multiplied. Note that when you multiply two quaternions, their order in this operation matters. Pay attention to that. We can also multiply quaternion by a scalar. Quaternion has a length, usually called norm, and quaternions used for rotations should be normalized, or have a norm of 1. And the last operation is conjugation, usually denoted with a star. I will explain conjugation later with an example. This is the whole set of mathematical operations with quaternions we need to know to work with rotations. So let's get started on that by taking a look at two reference frames. One is our world's reference frame. I will call it global. The other one is a local reference frame of the object. The object always stays stationary and not rotated in its local reference frame. So, when we say that the orientation of the object could be described with quaternion, we actually mean that this quaternion describes the orientation of the object's local reference frame relative to the global reference frame. Let's say we have a vector with a length of 1 and rotate the reference frame around it at angle theta. If we take a look from the vector's origin towards its end, clockwise rotation is positive and counterclockwise is negative. You can also use the right-hand rule to find what direction of rotation is positive. Take your right hand and give a thumbs up to the vector and also to this video. If you point with your thumb in the same direction as the vector goes, your folded fingers will show you the direction of positive rotation. This is a general agreement that it's used everywhere in math and science. So, we have normalized vector v and angle theta. The rotation quaternion will have a scalar part equal to the cosine of half theta. The vector part will be the sine of half theta multiplied by v. If v was normalized, the quaternion will be normalized as well. This small sine and cosine complication is required to keep any further mass very simple. Let's play with that entity a bit. First, it's easy to see that minus q is the same rotation as q, because if we take a vector minus v and angle minus theta, that will be the same rotation. If we want to reverse the rotation, we need to take the opposite vector, but keep the same scalar part. And this is exactly what conjugation of q does by definition. So q conjugated is a rotation opposite to q. Okay, great. We have the quaternion of our rotation. What's next? What we're really interested in is that how to transform local coordinates into global. Let's say we have a rotated cube, and we know the coordinates of all corners in the local reference frame. To transform the cube into the global reference frame, we need to transform the coordinates of each corner one by one. Let's focus on one corner, for example. So, to transform the point, we need to start with a quaternion that has zero scalar part and coordinates of the point as the vector part. And then we multiply it by q on the left and by q conjugate on the right. This expression will be a quaternion with a zero scalar part and global coordinates of the point as a vector part. And now look, we can transform it back with the same formula, but using q conjugate instead of q. And since q conjugate is a reverted rotation of q, this makes perfect sense. But if you have a real application like 3D graphics, you probably also have a translation. That means that your reference frame's 0 points are not aligned. If it's true, then to transform coordinates you need first do the rotation and then add a vector of translation. This vector has global coordinates of the object's 0 point. What also makes quaternions very convenient is that several rotations could be combined together by simply multiplying their quaternions. Look, let's say we have the object in some rotation state q. If we want to add a rotation q1, then we need to multiply q by q1. But there are two ways to do that. We can put q1 on the left or on the right. The choice defines a reference frame that we use for the rotation vector. For example, we want to rotate 90 degrees around the y-axis. If we want it to be the global y-axis, then we place q1 on the left. And if we want to rotate around the local y-axis, then we place q1 on the right. Very simple. Let's play some more. Remember the Euler angles example? Let's build a quaternion that does the same rotation. Let's start with identity quaternion, which describes no rotation. By the way, the identity quaternion is equal to its conjugate, because no rotation reversed is no rotation as well. I use ZYZ Euler angles and angle sequence alpha, beta and gamma. So we start with identity quaternion and multiply it by quaternion that rotates around z by alpha. Left or right doesn't matter here. It's the same thing for identity quaternion. Guess why? Because local and global reference frames are aligned if you don't have any rotation. So now our rotation is equal to q alpha. The next step of the Euler ZYZ scheme is rotation around local y by beta. So we multiply our rotation by q beta on the right. And the last one is a rotation by gamma around local z. Once again multiply by q gamma on the right. Great! There are many other schemes for Euler angles, but now you know how to convert all of them to quaternion without even googling the formula. And of course, I will not give you a way to convert quaternions back to Euler angles, because if you have an awesome quaternion, You should never go back to lame Euler angles. Okay, the last formula I want to talk about is related to angular velocities. It will be especially useful if you are working with any device that is equipped with a gyroscope. The gyroscope is a device that measures current angular velocities in the local reference frame. If we read these values frequently, we can use this formula to update orientation quaternion and keep track of the device orientation. Here, q omega is angular velocities from the gyro combined with zero scalar part. qi plus 1 is updated quaternion. qi is quaternion from the previous iteration, and dt is the time interval of one iteration. But remember two things about this formula. First, this formula is a first-order approximation, so it's not absolutely accurate, and quaternion change on every step should be small, otherwise you will have significant errors. The second problem is that the result is not normalized, so you probably need to normalize it on each iteration or once in a while. Otherwise, your math can go out of the window eventually. Just like that. I hope you like this video. Subscribe for more engineering and check out the video about my model rocket, which uses quaternions extensively. Now, as I promised, I will explain quaternions operations to make this guide complete. For most operations, quaternions work similar to four-dimensional vectors. To add or subtract two quaternions, you just add or subtract corresponding components. Very straightforward, nothing special here. The same goes with multiplications by scalar. You just take each component and multiply it by the given scalar. Norm is also similar to a four-dimensional vector. To find it, you need to add squares of all components and take a square root of that. To normalize quaternion, we calculate the norm and then multiply our quaternion by 1 divided by the norm. Of course, zero quaternion is the one that could not be normalized. Conjugation is quite similar to complex numbers. To find the quaternion's conjugate, we need to take the same scalar part, but the negative vector part. Nothing special so far. The last operation is a multiplication of two quaternions, the origin of all coolness. If we have two quaternions q1 and q2, their product looks like this. The scalar part of the product will be r1, r2 minus dot product of v1 and v2. And vector part will be r1, v2 plus r2, v1 plus cross product of v1 and v2. Here are the definitions of dot and cross products. Note that the dot product is a scalar and the cross product is a vector. Using these definitions, we can come up with this formula for multiplication. That looks like a lot, but the math is very simple. It's just a bunch of multiplications and additions in the correct order. And that's why quaternions are used in 3D graphics. These computations are very fast compared to Euler angles, which require trigonometry all over the place, and trigonometric operations are computationally expensive. I think that's all you should know about quaternions if you want to use them. If you are curious about how exactly and why quaternions work, there are other great videos on YouTube about it. But be ready to get your brain melted. I'm warning you. Have a nice day, and please don't use Euler angles.